Hello, and welcome to our 2021 Pawtucket celebration of International Women's Day. This is our seventh time gathering to mark this day and also launch Women's History Month here in Pawtucket. Planning this event would not be possible without the collaboration of the Planning Committee, School Department, Mayor's Office, State Delegation, and the funding from the founder of the event, State Senator Sandra Cano. It is this citywide partnership that ensures that this event happens every year, and I'm proud to work alongside such strong women leaders. This year, especially with a wave of newly elected women at both the city and state house level, our planning committee is stronger than ever. Now, last year, for many of us, this event marked the last time we all gathered together before our state, country, and the world went into lockdown. A year later, as we gather again, we take stock of what the last year has exposed about gender inequities. And we also celebrate how strong, effective women in leadership roles are using skills, knowledge, and networks to effectively manage COVID-19 responses and recoveries. Our committee felt that the best way to mark this day is to bring together six of these strong leaders from Pawtucket for a panel discussion where they can offer insight, perspective, and dialogue about what this year has exposed and what they see as a path forward to a more equal future in recovery from the pandemic. Now, this is a diverse group of women. We have Duque and Karen Mejias, graduates from Tolman High School, who, in the midst of the pandemic, united to open a new small business in Pawtucket. The Heal Room is the brainchild of these two leaders, joining to provide a space where people can shop ethically with zero waste and with mindfulness. We also have joining us Clare King, the president of Propel LLC, a company dedicated to the development of transforming textile-related technologies for the U.S. military and fire services that pivoted their production in response to COVID-19. These three business leaders are joined by three high school leaders. Charlisa Kollie, a senior at Shea High School, has plans to be a pediatric surgeon and has been a leader in athletics, academics, and in volunteer work during her high school career. Jonte Foster, a senior at Tolman High School, has also distinguished herself in athletics and academics while serving on student council and the Gay Straight Alliance. She plans to study psychology and sociology in college. Jullian Nash, a senior at JMW, has distinguished herself in high school through volunteer work, student council work, academics, and also leadership in the arts. She plans to study biology in college. As we turn our attention to the panelists, you'll notice on some of them they're wearing an original brooch designed and created by Gail Ahlers at the Empowerment Factory. Gail wanted to contribute her tradition of using her original art to honor our panelists during this remote event. We thank her for all she gives of her time and creativity. Now, our high school classrooms in Pawtucket have worked to generate questions for our panelists, and we very much look forward to this panel discussion. We hope that you enjoy learning from these outstanding women, as I'm sure we will. So, welcome to our panel. Thank you for joining us today. Now, I gave a brief overview for each of you, but I would like to start this discussion with you all introducing yourselves to the panel and our audience. Tell us a little bit about your path to becoming a leader in our city and our schools. So let's start with Charlisa.
Hi, my name is Charlisa, like you said. Oh wow, I'm full screen. I am the current valedictorian of the class of 2021 at Shea High School, and I have a long history of being a leader since middle school. In 2016, I was the recipient of the first Pawtucket Pawsock Scholarship, which is a scholarship that wants to provide money for scholars and students. Oh my gosh. To make going to college easier. I have a long line of being a leader because I don't exactly like to be a follower. Um, when I learned at an early age that in order to get things done, you have to do them yourself. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining us, Charlisa. Jillian.
Hi, I'm Jillian. I'm also the current valedictorian, though at JMW. I have been a leader in academics and in the arts for as long as I can remember. I always excelled at school, so I thought that it was my duty to help those who didn't understand, and if I can help, then I should help. I also help out with the uh, art club at Goff Middle School, and I help lead that with one of the teachers. I run tutoring sessions frequently, and I'm honestly just happy to be here.
Okay, and to round out our high school participants, Jonte, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, well, my name is John Tay. I was born and raised in Springfield, Massachusetts, and then I moved to Rhode Island in a neighboring community in my sixth grade year. There at that school, I was able to become a student ambassador, where I was able to show the new students around and become their like first friend. And then when I moved to Tolman and Pawtucket, I participated in academics and I was able to excel, which allowed me to tutor my friends inside the classroom and outside the classroom, but I was also able to participate in the internship classroom that we have. And it really allowed me to learn about myself, my society, and the current critical issues that are happening in our society today.
Wonderful. Thank you to all of our high school participants for joining us. Very much looking forward to hearing more from you. And now, to speak with our business leaders, let's have Claire start us off.
Sorry about that. Hi, I'm Clare King, and I'm the president of Propel. And we are a women owned business. And in fact, all of our employees happen to be women. We're based in Hope Artist Village in Pawtucket. We've been in business for about 16 years, and our focus is developing innovative textile technologies. And we're primarily funded by the Department of Defense because our soldiers and sailors and airmen need, and women, of course, in fact, we're working on specialized women's clothing for the Navy right now, need innovation in what protects them on the job. I located the business in Pawtucket, and I've lived in Rhode Island for a long time. But one of the exciting things about having a innovation textile business in Pawtucket is the history back to the founding of industrial textiles, Slater Mill, and that we were the home of textiles from the late 1700s, and we still are today. We work a lot with other local companies in Pawtucket for textiles, and we've also looked to all of our employees live very close by as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today, Claire. Let's continue with Anna.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna. I grew up in Pawtucket. I was actually born in Colombia, but moved to Pawtucket when I was 7 years old, and I grew up here. I'm a Tolman alumni, and I went to URI. I've been a leader in education my whole life. I always loved teaching. I was a health and PE teacher before I became a business owner, so I'm very passionate about wellness and about teaching health in general. I moved to Los Angeles a couple of years ago, and I lived there for 2 years, where I worked for a nonprofit, and I learned a lot about sustainability. So when I moved back to Rhode Island, I saw that there was a gap in the education around sustainability. So I began my first business called Green Tenderfoot. It started off as a blog, and I was on a journey of living a low waste, sustainable lifestyle. And I really wanted to educate the people around me and the people that I grew up with. So that's kind of how we begin our journey of the Heal Room.
Wonderful. And so now we'll turn to your partner, Karen.
Hello. Can you hear me? So my name is Karen. I was born in Venezuela and I came to the United States when I was 10. I probably moved to Pawtucket when I was 13 and I graduated from Tolman as a captain of the volleyball team, so that kind of started the leadership qualities, and that trickled down to college to being a college athlete, where I learned discipline and a bunch of really good qualities. um, I always excelled in the arts as well, just like Jullian. And I graduated from the Academy of Art University in San Francisco. And in San Francisco, I was able to learn so much wellness, so much health. The lifestyle is definitely different there, but my family was here. And when I moved back, I was just so passionate about the wellness lifestyle over there. And I wanted to kind of like bring that here and facilitate that same love and that spark that I have for others. And it's always been a dream to be the person that I always wanted somebody there to be for me. So I want to be that person that somebody similar to me might need. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for introducing. I could see nods from our high school panelists throughout all of your answers as they really saw themselves in you. And so that was wonderful. So our first question does come from Shea High School. And so the question is, what are some of the challenges you overcame to be a successful leader? And it is a question from Shay, but I'm actually going to get started with Jonte. So, Jonte, can you tell us what are some of the challenges you overcame as you worked to become a successful leader in high school?
Well, a couple of challenges I have overcome would be coming from a community that was very much a majority of a different race, and it was very difficult to feel comfortable and become my true self in that community where I wasn't able to learn more about myself. But when I moved to Pawtucket and I came to Tolman, I was able to find a lot more people like me and a lot more people that understand and understood where I came from and how I live. And it was very much a very epiphany for me. So.
Wonderful. So Anna and Karen, you both had to also kind of transition as Jonte did. Did you see similar challenges in kind of becoming a leader? Because it sounds like you both established yourselves as leaders in high school. So I'll throw it to one of you.
Um, I can start. I think that moving to like living in Los Angeles and then coming back to something where I felt like, there's just more progression over there and like less over here. It was kind of difficult, like Jonte said, to like be in a community where people are not really understanding like what you're talking about. So when I moved back and I'm like, trying to explain to my friends about plastic pollution and how this all ties in with racism and like everyone kind of looked at me like I was crazy. I was doing like all these weird things, and it was difficult at first to get a following, but like the more I just did it and minded my business and I'm like, I'm just gonna do me, and whoever wants to like follow along will. The more like I just focused on doing it myself, the more people, like it was like a small ripple effect. Like people saw like, okay, you're doing small steps in sustainability, and the ones that respected me and like loved me like also tried to follow along. But at first it was kind of difficult because I thought like, I wasn't going to be able to live that same lifestyle here. But eventually like it became this whole thing where like now we have a whole store and like we're helping not just the people around us but like thousands of people that live in Pawtucket and Rhode Island in general. So
Wonderful. Karen, did you find that you had, similar kind of challenges as you kind of moved from one community to another?
Yeah, there's a couple of them that I would like to talk about. Like, for example, people that we grew up here, and California was really like life changing, and it did change me at the core. And a lot of people really want me to stay the same person I was in high school, and I'm not. And I think at first I was struggling with what people thought of me, how was I looking, and and what people had to say, and that was kind of like one of the first things I like had to like grow through. But I'm so happy that I did. Super worth it. And also the part where the beginning can be very nerve wracking because you have this dream and then you have no idea where to start or what to do. But luckily, the community, being part of the community, asking questions, asking people, networking, we were able to be part of SEG. And then now I'm collaborating with Hope and Maine. So getting really to the people that know what they're doing and being part of the bigger part of the community makes us find a place. The Heal Room is finding its place because we have such a wide collection of networking that we can ask for help, which is always good.
Excellent. Jullian, what would you like to add to that?
Well, I could definitely agree with what Karen was saying about worrying what other people are thinking. I know that myself, I struggled with being taken seriously, and I rejected my femininity for a long time because people wouldn't take me seriously if I was wearing makeup or a pretty dress. Eventually, though, I came to the same conclusion she did, and I stopped caring about what other people wanted. And I started wearing them for myself. And I figured if you aren't going to take me seriously based on what I'm wearing, then it's not worth your opinion, anyways.
That's wonderful, and lessons that all of us can learn as adults as well. So it's wonderful to hear that from high school students. So I'm going to ask my next question from JMW. So JMW asked, what advice would you give other young women who are looking to start or lead a business of their own in the future? So I was wondering, Claire, if you could get us started here, what advice would you give other young women looking to start or lead a business of their own?
Wow, that's a big question, but I actually get a lot of people coming to me with business ideas. I had a young woman who's also grew up in Rhode Island and who's working on a business for uh, aids for disabled people recently. And I think having a very clear idea of who you are, which is what I just heard, is really important. And being able to pick yourself up when you get knocked down and just being true to your idea, your goal. I'm hearing such strength. I'm getting goosebumps from these young women. The other thing I would do is more practical. The big issue with a business is understanding the money side. And years and years and years ago, when I was as young as these young women, and I'm considerably older now, I took a course on running your own small fashion business. And but the real key was this was run by a woman who had her own small business, and she taught us all about managing cash and cash flow and understanding a balance sheet, understanding your profit and loss statement, and not ignoring them, being on top of that all the time. I spent Saturday on the phone with my bookkeeper because we were so busy during the week, going through the last month and then finishing off year end. Those are the kinds of things that are practical. Stick with your idea and your goal, but get the practical behind it so that when you talk to the bank, they know you know your cash flow. That's really important.
Okay, wonderful. Now, Karen, you own your own smoothie truck. I mean, are you hearing when Claire speaks similar, lessons you've learned, or do you kind of have different advice for people who are looking to become leaders?
I think Claire's input was so important. It's so important that it's like it's in your face every day, like sales, like the income, everything is super important. Um, I think, and the best part was like the know yourself. I really resonate with that, like because that's where everything starts. Um, I think I don't know what else to add to that.
Okay, wonderful. Anna, do you have anything else to add? I mean, so you were running this zero waste company and then you partnered and now you're also kind of working together. And so what have you learned about what it really takes to be a business owner?
Yeah, I think it was very important that Claire went first because that answer was awesome. But one thing, like I always tell people, to kind of, I always give the advice of like just go for it. Don't be afraid, because a lot of people focus on too much planning and too much overthinking, and then they don't ever end up doing it. I have a theory that like if you think of an idea and like you don't execute the idea, like that idea is just going to bounce from your head to somebody else that's actually going to execute the idea. And it's not even about like having a new innovative idea. It's just about doing something that like makes you happy or that like you're gonna enjoy doing. So that's always my idea. It's like just go for it. Like nobody like knows what they're doing. Like everyone's kind of just trying to figure it out all the time. And like Karen was saying, like we have so many resources in Rhode Island. Like we have so many people that are just gonna like help you along the way. But like if you have something that you truly want to start working on, and like just go for it.
Thank you. So now turning to our high school panelists, this has obviously been a hard year for everyone, but to be completing your senior year during this time, some students from Shea want to know, how has the past year impacted your vision for the future for you? What, if anything, are you planning to do differently, or are you full steam ahead as you were intending to do before the pandemic? Let's get started with Charlisa here.
I currently want to go into the health field. Like you said, I want to be a pediatric surgeon. So if anything, I'm full steam ahead. Um, I feel like women, specifically women of color, are needed more than anything now in the healthcare field. Um, I want to work with children. It's hard to see kids that are understood. I feel a big part of being a leader is being mentally strong. I've struggled with mental health. I have anxiety, as you can tell, like I'm freaking out right now. Um, but yeah, I feel like the past year has really taught me a lot about myself. Being inside, I really got to find myself and who I am. And I'm optimistic for the future.
Wonderful. But Charlisa, I mean, did it give you any pause seeing the challenges that people are facing in the healthcare industry this year? Did that give you any kind of questioning, or like you said, was it just like, no, this is why I need to do it?
No, that's what I want to do. It's where I want to be, all in the mix.
Wonderful. Jonte.
Um, I would say that I have had a lot of difficulty with this past year, but I feel like I am also full steam ahead. I am obviously still enjoying the last bit of senior year that I do have. Volleyball starts today, which I'm really excited about, but I am definitely waiting and excited about starting college. And since I do want to become a lawyer or a social worker, I am still figuring that out. But I am very excited for the future, and as Charlisa said, I am very optimistic about it.
Wonderful. Now, Jillian, you mentioned that earlier when we were speaking that you are actually currently taking some college classes as you're doing the Running Start program. So, is it still full steam ahead for you? Has anything changed over this past year about your approach to your future?
Yeah, so I think that this pandemic has honestly proved to me that my choice for my future is the best one that I can make. I want to go to college in a biology major with eventual plans to become an epidemiologist, which ties directly into a global pandemic. I think that this basically directly proves that I chose the right choice for me, and I'm glad I got a jump start on my college education.
Wonderful. So, our next question is for our business owners. And so it comes from Tolman, and they ask, as business owners, what are some barriers that you've encountered because of the COVID pandemic? What have you done to overcome them? Or what advantages have you gained because of the COVID pandemic? So let's get started this time with Anna.
excuse me. I would say like definitely opening in the midst of a pandemic was very challenging because we had a lot of questions and things that like no one has ever, been through before, like scenarios that no one has ever been through before, like doing things through Zoom and having to question like how many people are allowed in our space. One of our goals was to be able to hold workshops and like teach people about wellness and sustainability, and like we weren't able to incorporate that into like our store as of yet. But I would say that it was it was a challenge, but it was something that we like continued to persevere because we knew that we were in a pandemic, and we knew that like the global pandemic was causing more plastic pollution because didn't really have the education behind reusables. Everyone started going back to plastic. Everyone started using plastic gloves and just throwing them in the street. Same thing with the mask, the disposable mask. So it kind of like reversed a lot of the stuff that like, you know, s- uh, sustainability has been working towards. And then on top of that, when it comes to Karen's portion of the Heal Room, it's all about wellness and about boosting our immunity system and healing from the inside out. And that was something else that was being reversed, like with us wearing masks all the time, being indoors, not being exposed to each other. So we thought like it was, regardless of like what was happening around us, we felt like and truly believed that it was the perfect time to educate everyone on, what we're passionate about. And it was just something that like everyone needed. And that was like truly confirmed, like when we had our opening weekend and we had a line and like so many people were curious and so many people wanted to learn. So it was hard and it was a challenge, but also um it was beneficial that we were able to like provide this during time, like difficult times for everyone, and it's kind of like a comfort thing.
Wonderful. Thanks, Anna. Karen, what do you have to add? I mean, I think that I had quite a few questions from high school students who just said, opening a business during a pandemic like this, what, why? And I mean, we're hearing a lot from Anna. What do you have to add to that?
So I would like to talk about like the smoothie truck as an example, because it impacted the events. That's where most of our season was based off of. So every event was canceled, and it affected the truck industry a lot. I felt for all of my food truck friends, but if your heart is in the business and your business becomes kind of its own thing, it will start like asking things of you. So, for example, it was like either it evolves or it closes, and I am such a go getter and I'm okay with failure. I think like it's just like part of the path just to fail and learn from it. And I'm like totally okay. I see it as stepping stones, so I decided just to evolve with it. And usually it's like there's a demand for something. So right now there's a demand for immunity. And we started looking in Mindful Maya in the food truck, we started looking for ways to boost immunity. And it evolved into this ginger shot like fanatics. So we've been doing ginger shots for almost 10 months straight. Um, and it's been going so great. So it's crazy how like something can evolve to that and it could turn into an opportunity. And I get to give somebody something that they really love and they enjoy, but it also boosts their immunity. So I think at this time with the pandemic, there's a lot of opportunities that are being shown that that are supposed to give back and be good. Like we can all apply being good to our industries no matter where we are. We can always try to give back or try to make change. There's always a better way to improve our industries. And that's like the opportunity that's there, especially with the pandemic. Like if this isn't um, enough of a reason to come together and make a change, then I don't know what else is gonna be so big.
I think we all hear you there with this being very big. Claire, I'd love to hear more because um, you specifically did pivot because of COVID. So can you tell us a little bit more about that process, whether it was, day one, or it took a few days or weeks or months before you came up with this idea?
No, I don't think it took very long at all. And first of all, I just like to say to these two young women with their amazing business, your thought process of being able to pivot, you're giving me the ginger shot just by talking about how you're doing this. This is like a great lift for a Monday morning. And then to Charlisa, we're all anxious. And that is not to say that we don't take it seriously. I take anxiety very seriously. And but this has been a situation that you guys are dealing with as high school seniors. I cannot imagine the anxiety it's causing in you. And I just commend you for being here and doing so well with your lives. So I'll just talk quickly about what we did. So I have a long history in the textile industry. I have these amazing women who work with me on our projects. Mostly we're doing research and development. So our projects are maybe 4 or 5 years long before we actually have a product that comes out of it that we might sell. But we quickly realized that we could do something. The networking, and again, community makes a difference. The networking in Rhode Island of having a textile innovation network that is made up of other companies in the textile field in Rhode Island was also very helpful. And then the long history of knowing textile companies. So Birgit Leitner, who's our head designer, she and I went into the office early on. I shut the office, I think, the week of March 13th, but we went in together and we were wearing masks. They were disposables. And we said, okay, let's make a cloth mask that's reusable, because sustainability is also really, really important to us. So we worked with another Rhode Island company, Darlington Fabrics, which is in Westerly, which is a maker of athletic wear fabrics. I bet some of you have worn it in your school, uniforms that you wear when you're out on the volleyball team or whatever you're playing. And then we worked with Northeast Knitting, which is in Pawtucket, and a minority-owned business that makes elastic. And we worked with another company in Rhode Island, Eagle Tool, to make a nose stay. And we shipped our first commercially made face cover on April 6th. So this was very early on. And we have now shipped over 2 million. And we have a kids cover as well. Now, this has been transformative for my business. My business has grown significantly, hundreds of percent, because of this. And we kind of laugh that our other big product we're selling right now to the Navy is what was called the steam suit for damage control inside nuclear submarines. So if there's an accident, they put this on to protect them during the accident. And that is a $5,000 suit. It is unbelievably complex. There's like almost $1,500 of materials in the suit before we start making it. Our mask, we're selling it for $6. So our whole goal was affordable, reusable, locally made in terms of materials. There isn't much cut and sew in Rhode Island, so I'm making in other states, making a lot in California. And my 2 daughters live in California, so I got big ties to that, but they grew up here in Rhode Island. So we did it very quickly, and now it's evolving. This week I'm putting together a bid. You may have seen that the White House is going to buy 25 million. We're hoping that some of those will be ours. So we're in that mix of bidding on that. And again, it'll be Rhode Island made materials. So jobs, materials. And I have to say, it's a great opportunity to give back. And we're very passionate about it. We're also working a lot with the Navy on making sure that technically these masks in general as a category have high levels of protection. So we've done a lot of our R&D and making product at the same time. I don't think I could have done this so quickly without this, using everything in my career. It all came together in this one opportunity, and we felt perfectly placed to address it and solve it.
Wonderful. I really hear those echoes of community on when Anna and Karen were speaking about, how connecting with all of the different kind of communities within Pawtucket really helped them. So my next question was going to be from Tolman, but I feel like you've all shown me they asked if it was difficult to stay positive during this pandemic, and it sounds like you all really are full steam ahead with that positivity. Um, but I'd love to hear whether you did find it difficult, difficult to stay on track, or for we're going to have a lot of high school students watching this. Do you have any advice to give them? Karen, do you want to get us started there?
Yes. I find that coming from a very male society that we're evolving, we kind of, well, I've had to find that balance between my femininity and then my masculinity as well. So I've had to work on my logistics, work on my discipline, work on being hardworking, and seeing it from that side, but also balance it with my femininity. And one of the things that I've like really felt that's worked for me is being kind to myself throughout the process, like just being kind and saying it's okay, like holding myself not just accountable, but holding myself if I need to, and like say, it's all right, like I'm here for you, and we're gonna get through this, and tomorrow's another day. And just encouraging myself and being nice to myself, as like I feel like goes such a long way, because if you wait for other people to be nice to you, then you're gonna be waiting all day. So I think having like that balance, and the positivity also comes in line.
Wonderful. Jillian, what would you like to add?
I can absolutely agree with what she said about being firm yet kind with yourself. I am a high school senior, but I did start college earlier this year. So it's very, very difficult, or it was very difficult for me to transition, especially in an already stressful time from high school into college work, because there's a big difference. Um, I completely agree with what she said about staying firm but kind, though. Like, I update my planner obsessively. I keep a very strict schedule of myself, but it's also important to work in rest time, or time with your friends, or time just to sit and read. Uh, Ultimately, though, I completely agree with what she said.
Wonderful. Well, I have really enjoyed listening to you all. I've really enjoyed learning from you all. I just have one final question that I'm going to have all six of you answer. Um, where do you see the future of women in a post COVID world? Where do you see cause for optimism for a more equitable future? And we'll get started with Jonte.
For the future of women, I see us as very strong, and I find that we will be full steam ahead and we will be moving on very quickly. And I just know that all of us having struggles and any struggles that we will get into along the way, that we will all find ways to accomplish what we want to and what we need to, because we all seem to show that whatever we want, we will get it some way, somehow, because as Charlisa said, that if we don't do it, no one else will. So
Oh, Charlisa, you got called out there. So why don't you continue for us, okay?
Okay. I feel like there's so much more unity within a female community nowadays. So I feel like our future is stronger than ever because we're together. We have that support from one another. And yeah, I feel like the future is very bright for women.
Wonderful. Claire, what do you think?
I'm glad. I'm very happy to hear these young women say that. I think this is our seize the moment point as women. I'm at the other end of my career, and I am so happy to see some of these changes. But we can't overlook what this has also done to many women's career. 9% of the female workforce has had to leave. I think what this has exposed is the huge problems with the lack of childcare, which in every other westernized nation is a given as a female right, and we have to somehow struggle to pay for it. And I think that expecting us to be able to do the homeschooling, take care of the children, and do all the other things that are our normal job, as well as our jobs, means that we do need to unite, as Charlisa said. We do need to have our political voice heard, and we need to fight for those changes at the national level. And I'm hoping that you young women don't get sidetracked from that. And I've got your backs, and I have to say, it's made me feel like I need to be more involved and do more of these things, because it is our moment.
Wonderful. Karen, what would you like to add? Where do you see the future of women in a post-COVID world, and where do you see cause for optimism for a more equitable future?
I see us as leaders. I see us powerful. I see us aligned to our purpose. I do think that it could be very overwhelming to try to say, I'm going to solve all of these problems. And if we all just focus on one thing, then we can make a change. If like I focus on wellness, if Anna focuses on sustainability, if let me see, if Jonte focuses on the medical, like, and we're all doing our thing, like, and we're all fighting for a better future, then the future will come. Like, we don't have to overwhelm ourselves that we have to do everything. Just focus on one thing and kill it, because we're all going to be doing the same thing.
Okay, Anna, well, you were name checked there, so why don't you continue for us? Where do you see the future of women?
I think the future of women is now, and like we're seeing it like so much. Like now is our time. Like, Claire was saying, like, it's time to seize the moment, and like I see it so much. Like I am surrounded by empowered women. Like now, I am surrounded by empowered women like every single day, like of my life, and it's just a blessing to see how much we have evolved. And like, there's still a lot of systemic work that needs to be done, but the fact that we're even talking about it, the fact that, there's three like very awing and inspiring high school students among us that like, know the issues and like are going to create change for us is just amazing. Like I am very like inspired by Generation Z, as they call it, because, when I was in high school, I was just worried about my friends and sports, but I'm seeing that like there's so many high school students and so many even middle school students that are like worried about what's happening, in politics and what's happening with sustainability. And they're learning how to like care for themselves and love themselves, which like in turn that's going to just radiate into the world, and it's going to create change, and it's going to make females so powerful, like way more powerful than we are now. So it's just incredible to see, and I think it's definitely an opportunity for optimism.
Wonderful. Well, Generation Z gets the last word. Jullian, what do you think? Where do you see the future?
Well, for one, I am glad to speak for Gen Z. I am fully of the belief that desperation breeds innovation. And I think now more than ever, people my age are being educated on social issues. We are more knowledgeable than ever on the inequality of races in the US and of sexes in the US. And because we know of it, we have the power to fix it. Education is honestly the only way that we can progress. And I see the future as being one of more knowledge and more power for women. And I'm hopeful.
Wonderful. Well, I want to thank all of our panelists for being here. I really loved hearing all of your perspectives, and you inspired me about our future. I know we had to sacrifice a lot of traditions this year, and I'm so happy we decided on this panel discussion to mark International Women's Day. Although it's different than our usual approach, it allowed for us all to hear so much more from our honored guests. So now I will turn it over to Senator Sandra Cano, who will close up our event as she always does, in style and with lots of great information about how else you can celebrate this day and all of Women's History Month.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I really appreciate you, but most importantly, I appreciate the discussion today. And I do feel inspired. I feel empowered, energized. That sense of community that we see in this panel was amazing. I feel that all of the panelists embrace the theme. Not only that, but motivate us and inspire us to lift each other up. I know that one of the main and most importantly, the good themes here that we heard today was unity, and how our network allowed us to support each other, how our community allowed us to give back, and just to make sure that even in a pandemic, we are able to just come in innovative ways, and that was very knowledgeable. I really appreciate all of them. Today's theme, as you have said and mentioned throughout the whole conversation, was Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. The theme celebrates the tremendous efforts by women and girls around the world in shaping a more equal future and recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. And our panelists really portray that. I am just very inspired, like I said before, but I am very hopeful for the future. I'm very happy that we see not only our business women here displayed today, telling us how important it is to believe in yourself and to continue persevering and to making sure that you every day work for what you, the idea that you believe in. It is also important to highlight that this theme has aligned with the priority theme of the 65 session of the Commission of the Status of Women, where is the Commission of the United Nations, where a lot of women around the world gathered together to talk about issues such as we talk today. They flag generation equality in a campaign that they do, which calls for women's right to decision making in all areas of life. You know, equal pay, equal sharing on unpaid care and domestic work, and equal end of all forms of violence against women and girls, and healthcare services that respond to their needs. It is important that as women we stand with the frontline workers that had then come into, full force rescue in the COVID-19 crisis. Also the caregivers, the innovators, the community organizers, and some of the most exemplary and effective national leaders in combat and state leaders in combating this pandemic. The crisis has highlighted both that there is contributions that a lot of people have done, but also the disproportionately burdens that women carry. Women leaders and women's organizations have demonstrated that their skills, knowledge, and networks have effectively led the COVID-19 response and all of the efforts to recovery. Today, there is more acceptance than ever before that women bring different experience, perspectives, and skills to the table. And we are certainly, women that make things happen. I just want to make sure that I mention that this committee that created the International Women's Day for the last 7 years work every year to make sure that those issues, get in the front of our, community, and we advocate together. But today, I'd like to mention that we also have very important events after this kickoff of Women's History Month. And the events that I'm going to mention, I hope that I invite you to join us throughout this whole month. There is a very good organized event by the Pawtucket Arts and Cultural Commission that you're going to see in collaboration with the school department, where our work is going to be displayed in the school department windows. And also, I invite you to join them, the page on Instagram, which it is at Pawtucket Arts at Gram. And I want to thank particularly the member of the commission, Ricardo Pimentel, and also Miriam Plitt, that are putting this together with the school department. I also like to say that immediately after this video, I hope that you enjoy a poem that is dedicated to the International Women's Day. And this poem was created and made by Eugenia Rose Deloney, and she is the youth deputy poet of Rhode Island. And I want to make sure that we not only highlight her. She is 18 years old, but she's amazing. I hope that you join us after this. Also, throughout our cities, there are murals that paint, the threats in downtowns. These murals have been done by amazing women in our community. You can go to Paint Park, to downtown, as I mentioned. There's also a mural at Sheer Studio in Pawtucket, and I invite you to just go around our city and enjoy those murals. I think that it's important that we continue supporting women in the arts. Also, I invite all of the women-owned business owners, if you haven't done so yet, to check out the City of Pawtucket website. And there is what we're doing this year is a little different. There is a new way of collecting and listing women-owned business. So make sure that you can fill out the form to add you to the list, so we can celebrate all women-owned business. And we not only celebrate you, but we support you. We want to make sure that we create this directory of women-owned business in the City of Pawtucket. And so if you haven't done so yet, please make sure that you add yourself to the list. Again, it's in the City of Pawtucket website in the tab of Women's History Month. I also like to mention that every year we partner with the school department, and our schools does a tremendous job to do an essay contest. I want you to invite you all to tune in to the school committee meeting on March 9th to hear the winners read their essays. We're going to have a celebration in the school committee meeting, and I want to make sure that you all don't miss it out. Last but not least, I want to make sure that you all know that we want to highlight two organizations that during the COVID-19 pandemic have not only done a tremendous job to support our communities in need, but are run by women. And these women have been exemplary, and they always really lit me up with their spirits because of the generosity and the things that they do. So there's two grants that we're going to provide by the state delegation of the Pawtucket State Delegation is providing to these organizations. And the organizations are the Sub Kitchen, the Pawtucket Sub Kitchen, and they have provided meals to all our vulnerable communities during the pandemic. So we want to make sure that we support them, we celebrate them, and we say thank you. So they're going to receive a $500 grant from our committee. And we also have an organization that had been not only providing opportunities for our kids and families, but had been there throughout the pandemic, making sure that they lifted us with messages of support and positivity. And that is the Empowerment Factory. We also want to make sure that we say thank you with a grant. And this is a part of the whole committee. Last but not least, I want to say thank you to Chairwoman Erin Duque. Without your leadership, without you getting us together, this committee wouldn't have been possible. I want to make sure that all committee members know that we value you, we thank you, and we appreciate every single contribution that you do to Women's History Month in Pawtucket. Last but not least, I want to say thank you to our City of Pawtucket Mayor's Office staff. They have been amazing in supporting us in the technical support, but also in the communication support. And I want to let you all just say goodbye with an amazing video that was put together by the committee, so we continue celebrating Women's History Month and International Women's Day. This year, the video hopefully lifts you up. The video makes you understand that these contributions from Pawtucket women have been coming from before, and hopefully with the future we'll continue to do and celebrate the day, just to honor women that have every day sacrifice and continue to do their work to make sure that Pawtucket is a better place to live, to work, and to enjoy. I want to say thank you, gracias to everybody for watching today, and hope that you join us next year and throughout the month of March with those activities that I mentioned. And we're going to continue, advertise this. So make sure that you follow us in the City of Pawtucket Mayor's office, in the Facebook, and also Sandra Cano. And thank you so much for everything you guys do. Thank you to the panelists, and we really appreciate you. We love you. And let's continue doing the work together, because we can change the world. So thank you. Thank you. Gracias to everyone who was part of this year's International Women's Day event, including the students and panelists and our committee members who all helped to make it possible. Gracias.
In addition to this year's event, we would like to highlight the Shea girls soccer team for persevering this year in a very different looking soccer season and reaching their goal of winning the championship during the pandemic. Thank you for representing our community.
We want to say thank you to the Pawtucket Women's Day for allowing us to be a part of honoring women this month.
Thank you to the students who helped bring some Pawtucket pride to our city during the pandemic.
We celebrate and honor Women's Month by thanking everyone that went above and beyond this past year.
From the business women who have helped this community through COVID-19 response.
To the students who have persevered during unprecedented times.
Women have worn many different hats this year.
From caretaker to community member,
provider, and so much more.
This month, we honor the women of Pawtucket today and in our history,
who have helped to make a difference.
Let's continue to push forward and become stronger.